And with deep, deep love, we remember Shri Guruji and Gurudev, Swami Satyananda Ji, Sanyal Mahashai, Yogananda Ji, Sri Yukteswar. They all spent quite some time in Lord Jagannath's presence, in Lord Jagannath's divine abode in Puri. So we bow to them in our hearts, and we bow to all the other great devotees of Lord Jagannath in these special days of his pastimes, and ask for their blessings. And we bow to Lord Jagannath himself. Nilachala nivasaya, nityaya paramatmane, Balabhadra subhadraubhyam, jagannathaya te namah. Bolo Bhaktavatsal Bhagavan ki jai. Sharanagatavattsal Bhagavan ki jai. Bhaktavancha Kalpataru Bhagavan ki jai. Hari Sharanam, Hari Sharanam, Hari Sharanam. Jai Jagannath. So as we mentioned in our little prayer, many of our gurus, they spent quite some time in Puri. Sri Yukteswar had one of his ashrams there. So also Bhubendranath Sanyal and Yogananda Ji came to visit. Satyananda Ji spent quite some time there. And Gurudev, of course, yesterday we had that special festival when he arrived in Puri and he saw Lord Jagannath in that very special occasion of Snan Yatra when he was bathed by his devotees. That's the day when Gurudev came to Puri and he started his sadhana there, his intense period of spiritual practice. And Guruji, he has now the headquarters of our lineage very, very close to Puri in a small little village, Balighai. And he loves Lord Jagannath also like anything. So Lord Jagannath is the Lord of the universe. That's the literal meaning of the name Jagannath. And at the beginning, I wanted to share some very nice stories of great, great divine beings and their love for Lord Jagannath. So we will hear from Adi Shankaracharya first. I'm sure you all have heard the name because in our lineage, all the Swamis, they are initiated in the monastic order that he founded, Adi Shankaracharya. So it is believed that he is an avatar, a divine incarnation of Lord Shiva himself, who came to protect Sanatan Dharma, this Vedic tradition, at a very difficult time when there was a big crisis because people had kind of misunderstood the deeper meaning of the Vedas and were not applying them in the way that they were intended to apply them. And Adi Shankaracharya, his main philosophy that he spread throughout India, it's called Advaita Vedanta, which means there is, in the conception of the soul and the supreme being, there's no difference. There's one supreme absolute truth, which is called Brahman, and our individual soul, our Atman, is one with that. So everything is spirit, and this world is an illusion, and we have to realize that. That's his philosophical framework. And it is interesting because he wrote so many beautiful poems for different deities. And the Ashtakam that he wrote for Lord Jagannath is extremely famous. So I just want to share the story of how this beautiful prayer came into this world. Adi Shankaracharya engaged in very intense travels. He did not get very old, but he was traveling a lot to establish his philosophy and also to establish different matas, prominent monasteries, so that Sanatana Dharma could flourish again from there. And when he reached Puri, which is on the eastern coast of India, Lord Jagannath was not in his place because Lord Jagannath is in a beautiful temple. And at that time, Lord Jagannath was hiding. So, what had happened some 140 years before that, there was an invasion of foreign rulers, and the devout people in Puri, they were afraid that they would kind of do bad things to Lord Jagannath. So they took the deity and went quite some distance and put Lord Jagannath below a tree into the earth so that no one would find him and no one would do evil things with the Lord of the universe. And Shankaracharya, when he went to Puri, he, in his meditation, he realized, by the grace of Lord Jagannath, who had kind of called him there to reveal himself again, he realized where Lord Jagannath was hiding below that tree in the earth. He saw it in his divine vision. And he went to the king in Puri. The king has a very close connection to the temple. It's like this also nowadays, and it has been like that always. So he went to the king and he said, "Oh Maharaj, Lord Jagannath is calling and he wants to come back home." So the king had tears in his eyes and he said, "Yes, we also want him home. We miss him so much, our beloved Lord. So please, where is he? Did you see something? Did he reveal himself?" And Shankaracharya said, "Yes, I know exactly where he is." So they prepared a little group of helpers and they went, and Shankaracharya found the spot, and they found the Lord exactly at that spot, and the whole outer covering of the deity, it is made out of wood, and it was not so nice because it was under the earth for so long. So worms had kind of eaten up the outer form of Lord Jagannath, and everyone was so pained to see that they were literally crying and rolling on the ground. "Oh, Lord Jagannath, how could we forget you? What happened to you? You suffered so much." And Shankaracharya, he consoled everyone and gave instructions. And they built a new wooden deity form to put the inside of Lord Jagannath into that new wooden covering. It's very, very mysterious, the story of this inner part of the deity. Very mysterious, very closely connected to the story of Sri Krishna. So some say that the heart of Sri Krishna, who was on this earth 5,000 years ago, is in the deity of Lord Jagannath in a mystical form. So it's really the center of love because it's the heart of Sri Krishna that is in that deity, they say. So they made new wooden coverings, and with royal honor and a lot of worship and so much reverence, they brought the deity back to Puri. And with the help of Adi Shankaracharya, they installed the deity on the altar. And it was such an amazing sight, they say, breathtaking, so beautiful. Some of the disciples, at least one disciple I heard, who was there with Adi Shankaracharya, he presented very valuable jewels to the Lord. And then people were kind of apprehensive. So how will we go on? Now we have him back. And Adi Shankaracharya, that great divine being, to give faith and hope to everyone, he established one of his main monasteries in Puri and kept that disciple there and probably also others. And he just made this to kind of bring stability for the future so that everything was really cleared out and the worship of Lord Jagannath could continue with steadiness and devotion. And after everything was kind of accomplished, or during that process, there was a moment when Adi Shankaracharya went before the altar and he prayed to Lord Jagannath. And it is believed that he fell into an ecstasy. And in that ecstasy, he saw how this, big belly form, it has a huge belly and a huge face and huge eyes. It looks so cute. So he realized how that Lord Jagannath was not different from Sri Krishna in Vrindavan. He realized how in that form Sri Krishna was playing in Vrindavan and playing his flute and playing with the gopis and revealing so many mysterious pastimes that cannot be seen when we just look at the outer form of Lord Jagannath with our mortal eyes. But he revealed the truth about himself to Adi Shankaracharya, who, in that moment, it is believed, spontaneously wrote this beautiful hymn, Jagannath Ashtakam. So I shared one verse from that prayer. We might look at it again at the end. It's really, really beautiful. And we could deepen our Sanskrit practice with this prayer. So we will look at it later. But what you will find is that this divine realization that Adi Shankaracharya had in this moment, it is really captured in these verses because it is addressed to Lord Jagannath as we see him now in Maya's screen in that beautiful round form. But at the same time, that shining reality of Vrindavan and the beauty of Sri Krishna in his playfulness and in his, yes, extreme attractiveness is also blending in. So both, they kind of go alongside each other because it is said, it is believed by the devotees that Lord Jagannath is a manifestation of Sri Krishna's pure love for Radharani. So there's a whole story to it, and it is believed that Jagannath manifested himself from the body of Sri Krishna when Sri Krishna was in so much pain, missing Radharani, that he could not tolerate it with his body anymore. So he had to take another form to kind of hold his life airs together. So that's the manifestation of Lord Jagannath. Then there is another great divine being that came to Puri and also had wonderful pastimes with Lord Jagannath. You might have heard the name. He's not that famous for us yogis, but in Indian philosophy, he's very, very accomplished. His name is Ramanuja. Have you heard the name? Ramanuja? Ramanuja Acharya? So he was kind of the next great philosopher who came to give a new nuance to Vedic philosophy and to establish the doctrine of duality in a sense. After Shankaracharya had said, we are one with the Lord, Ramanuja said, no, we are not one. We are servants of the Lord. He is the supreme person, and we are to serve him. So another view, another take on reality. And Ramanuja, he became very famous during his lifetime because among the devotees who loved the Lord with form, they were so grateful to him because he had kind of built a framework for their practice to have a solid philosophical standing. And he established many monasteries. He had countless disciples who traveled all around. And when he came to Puri, to the place of Lord Jagannath, people were naturally in awe of him. So they asked for directions because they felt he's such a great teacher. And now that he's here and he's the teacher of devotion, we must ask him what to do. Like, what can we do better? How can we improve? How can we give more pleasure to the Lord in our service to him? And they asked him. So he kind of took a look at everything that was going on in the temple, and he found out that some priests, they were not following the prescribed rules that were laid down in the scriptures. So they were doing their own things because they had so much spontaneous love for Lord Jagannath that they were kind of, you know, not so strict with the rules, just such a natural attraction that things were happening in that exchange of love between the priests and Lord Jagannath. And Ramanuja, he realized that. You can see how much I'm sweating. It's incredible. Um, just talking about Lord Jagannath. Um, so Ramanuja, he realized what was going on, and he went to the authorities and he said, you know, all in all, it's nice what you are doing, and I'm sure Lord Jagannath is very pleased. But there are some things in the temple, they are not really in the scriptures. So I feel we should kind of make amendments so that everything will be really proper again. And the king said, oh, that's really good, let's do that. So he gave instructions to the priests, and they had to follow. And their hearts were in pain because before they had felt that free, loving exchange with Lord Jagannath, and now they were forced to do things differently. And it is believed that the night those instructions were given, Sri Ramanujacharya had a dream in which Lord Jagannath told him, what do you know about the love between me and my devotees? I want you to leave here. I enjoy so much what they are doing, and you don't know how precious their love is to me, and however they express that love. So I want you to go and never come to in fear to kind of bring obstacles in their loving exchange with me. And it is said in the scriptures that tell the stories of Ramanuja that he woke up from that dream and he was so shocked because he felt he had offended the Lord. And he was far, far away. He was not even in Puri anymore. He was in South India. So Lord Jagannath had sent him away in a mystical way. Another great being who is oftentimes remembered when it comes to Lord Jagannath is Jayadev Goswami. He was a great, great poet. I spoke about him before. And he wrote, when he was living in Puri, he wrote a very, very beautiful poem also, much longer than the Ashtakam of Adi Shankaracharya. And this poem is called Gita Govinda, the song of Govinda, the song about Govinda, the song about Sri Krishna. And in that song, he describes beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So he wrote those, actually, it's a collection of poems. And there's a beautiful pastime because now, even today, these songs from the Gita Govinda are sung for Lord Jagannath every day because the priests, they say Lord Jagannath wants to hear them every day. So how did this happen? It is believed that during the time of Jayadev, there was a very simple girl who, by grace, was so attracted to the poem of Jayadev that she learned it by heart, the whole Gita Govinda. And she was so simple, she was working on the fields, and when she was walking and just, sweating a lot in the sunshine, hot India during the day, working on the fields, no one knew her actually. She was very innocent and unknown, and she remembered Sri Krishna constantly while working. She sang his names, and she also sang the Gita Govinda, so this beautiful poem, while working. So in the simple work of daily life, she was singing this song. And it is believed that Lord Jagannath himself, he came to the field where she was working just to listen to the Gita Govinda sung by her. So she was working in the fields, very rough work, and her clothes were all torn, she was so poor also. And Lord Jagannath was just listening so intently and with his big body. So he was walking right behind her. And because he wanted to be so close, he did not really take care of his body. And when it was time for him to go back to the temple because the priests were doing the next offering, he was just running. So he ran back to the temple in his mystical power. And when he was standing on the altar and the priests were opening the altar and seeing him, they saw that his beautiful clothes, they were torn and there were pieces of earth on his feet and his whole body looked really rusty, like from working in the sun the whole day. So they were shocked to see him and they were like, "Oh Lord Jagannath, are you unhappy with us? What happened to you? Who did this to you? Like, what's going on? We are so afraid that we did something wrong, and that's why you are manifesting in that way." So he revealed himself to them, and he said, "There is this girl working on the fields, and I cannot stay away from her because she is singing a poem that I love so much that I have to be close to her. I just have to listen to it." So when they found out that Lord Jagannath loves the Gita Govinda of Jayadev that much, they had this girl come to the temple and sing the song for Lord Jagannath in the temple. And since then, it is the custom that this Gita Govinda is sung for Lord Jagannath till this day. Another beautiful pastime is concerned with Guru Nanak. Have you heard Guru Nanak? The name Guru Nanak? Yes. So he is not in the strict sense, strictly speaking, part of the Vedic tradition in that sense, but he's the guru from the Sikh tradition. Maybe you have heard the name with the turban on the head. He was the founder of that movement. And it is believed that during his travels, Guru Nanak also came to Puri. So many saints came there. Guru Nanak came also there. And naturally, he had the desire to see Lord Jagannath because Lord Jagannath means he is the Lord of the universe and he wanted to have his darshan. So he went to the temple and he had one very close companion. And when the guys that were standing at the temple door, when they saw him, they thought, oh, they might be Muslim because the way they were dressed, you know. So they were a bit apprehensive because in the temple of Lord Jagannath, they are quite strict up to this day. They want only Hindus to go inside and to have darshan of Lord Jagannath. So they said, no, you know, we don't know who you are. I mean, you look very nice and very devout, but we don't want to get into trouble and we don't want you to get inside to see Lord Jagannath. Please stay outside. So Guru Nanak was unaffected. He felt inside his heart, well, if Lord Jagannath is really the Lord of the universe, then what is the need to see him in this tiny temple? He must be everywhere. So, with that inner desire to be connected to him, he went to the seashore and he just sat in meditation. And in that meditation, he became overwhelmed with emotions. And when he opened his eyes again after some time, he started singing and dancing with a lot of love because he realized Lord Jagannath was really present in the whole universe. So, in the Sikh tradition, this song is still quite famous. It's a very lovely song. It's called Gayan Mai Dal in the original. So he was singing like, O Lord of the universe, and realizing his presence everywhere. The whole sky is your offering, kind of the cup in which the offering to you is given. The sun and the moon are the lights that are waved in arati before you. All the stars in the sky, they are the pearls that are offered in your worship. All the divine aroma from the flowers in the forests, they are the incense that is used in your arati. And so also all the plants in all the forests, they are the divine garland that is offered for your worship. And he was so ecstatic that he couldn't stop dancing. And it is said at that time, the priests that were engaged in the temple of Lord Jagannath, they gave their arati to Lord Jagannath, you know, the light ceremony. So they saw that Lord Jagannath's eyes were looking far away that day. So he was not looking into the temple room, the big eyes of Lord Jagannath, but he was looking far away. And they were asking themselves, oh, why is he looking far away? And he also revealed, like in the other instances when he wanted to teach them. So he said, my great devotee, he is standing at the seashore and doing my arati with the whole cosmos. So I'm looking to him because you did not allow him inside. And he has so much love for me. And it is believed that the king also in that night had another dream. So he ran in the morning to get Guru Nanak, and Guru Nanak was still kind of in ecstasy at the seashore. And the priests also came and they asked for forgiveness. So that's a beautiful little story. And then finally, I wanted to share about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We mentioned him quite a few times already in the group that we have. And Dominic, like the book that you shared, it's from their tradition. They're following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he is kind of the most famous one in a way when it comes to Lord Jagannath, because he really revealed to the world this inner mood of Lord Jagannath that I mentioned before, that it is Sri Krishna himself in this mood of separation from Radharani. Because, like, it is mentioned in the scriptures on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life that when he came to Puri for the first time to have the darshan of Lord Jagannath, he fell like he fell unconscious. It was so he was so overwhelmed. He was a devotee of Lord Krishna, so he was connected with Sri Krishna in Vrindavan in that special mood of Vrindavan. But when he saw Lord Jagannath for the first time, he saw his Lord Sri Krishna in the same mood like others had realized before, what we shared about Acharya Shankara. And from that time onward, he spent a lot of time in Puri. Actually, the last part of his life, quite some years, he spent in Puri. I think at least 12 years. I don't remember exactly, but really he stayed for a long time. And there is one festival that will happen now soon. So what happened yesterday is kind of the first step leading up to different pastimes. And one culmination is what is called Ratha Yatra, when the chariot of Lord Jagannath is moving down the streets of Puri and people are dancing and singing in front of him. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he kind of made that festival, he revealed the inner mood of that festival, revealing who Lord Jagannath is. Because it is believed that when Sri Krishna was far away from Vrindavan, from Radharani and the gopis, he kind of couldn't take it at some point anymore because they were missing him so much and he was missing them so much. So he wanted to see them again, but he could not move because the pain was too much. So they put him on a chariot, to pull him to Vrindavan. So that is kind of reimagined in that chariot festival where Lord Jagannath, who is Sri Krishna, is put on a chariot and pulled down the streets of Puri. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was dancing in front of Lord Jagannath, he manifested such divine ecstasies that there are actually no words for it. So it is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that he fell onto the ground and he rolled on the ground where Lord Jagannath was to be served. And then he started dancing, and it is said his dance was so wild, like he manifested his divine powers in that dance to shake everyone up to how divine this is, that the whole earth was shaking, they say. So also his body started turning. They say it looked like a wheel of fire, so intensely he was dancing, and he was shouting the names of the Lord, O Shri Hari, O Shri Hari, with that intensity of Radharani who is waiting for him to come back to her. And there are pictures or paintings where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is depicted in that dance in front of Lord Jagannath's chariot. And you can really see how the tears from his eyes, they are like fountains, you know. So there are people all around him, and he is crying so much that not only his whole body is wet, but people who were just around, they also like they say it really happened that way. They also were wet with his tears because he manifested his divinity by showing these divine symptoms of ecstasy, of divine love. So his hair, of course, they stood on end, and his body started shivering while dancing. His teeth were shivering. So sometimes he couldn't talk anymore and he couldn't sing anymore because it was so intense that his body was shivering. And there was a lot of sweat dripping from his body because of the intense love. They say the color of his skin changed also to reveal his divinity. And he, at the end, also started jumping again. And it is said that Lord Jagannath, who was moving on the chariot, he was also reciprocating. So we may think that Lord Jagannath is just a lifeless, the wooden frame, and inside this mysterious Lord Jagannath. But they say that the chariot did not move when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also not moving, when he was in some divine rapture, experiencing some emotions of Radharani and looking at Jagannath very intently. Everyone was trying to pull and to go on with the whole chariot because they have, a way that they want to pass, but they couldn't. Lord Jagannath did not want to move. So then, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was finished with a certain episode that he was realizing within himself and he started moving again in his dance, people could feel, oh, now we don't know how, but again we can move Lord Jagannath. So again they could move on. So in that way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is really um, the one whose contribution to the worship and adoration of Lord Jagannath all around the world is very, very central. So there are many, many more stories about Lord Jagannath and his devotees and their loving exchanges. But for now, we will just stop here and we can just close our eyes for a moment because before we pray in the next part, but let's just ask Lord Jagannath and all his devotees to accept our little remembrance of his pastimes and of his love during these special days where he is revealing his love. And may we all human beings, feel that unconditional love that Lord Jagannath, the Lord of the universe, the Lord of us all, has for every single being who just wants to approach him with simplicity and humility. Om.